What's up, everyone? It's another episode of the Bro Aggressive Podcast. You have me here, Mr. Max here. We have some guest co-hosts here, Luis, and then my roommate, Alex. Luis has been here on a couple times. We were actually just talking about your guys' health fitness stuff. This is where I don't really know much about. So you guys were talking about a pretty famous, what is he, a bodybuilder?
He is actually a bodybuilder, and he won his, actually won the Arnold Classic. Yeah, pro card. Or he's going to the Arnold Classic, or did he already compete?
Yeah, he competed and he won. Like the amateur one, right?
I was going to say, because I saw him post about it. I remember hearing he was on prep, and I was like, holy shit, dude. Like, he did, I mean, obviously a bunch of bulk and cut cycles and was on fucking gear, and that's why he got so big, because he couldn't fucking breathe. But, like, and he went up there. I was like, shit, dude. Like, this guy's the real fucking deal. Like,
what's his name?
There was no secret. Sam Sulek. So he popped up because he's just a freak of nature. He's huge, and he's such a chill guy. But, like, and he's smart, too. Like, he's clever. He knows his shit. He trains hard, and like he's just kind of a really humble, down to earth guy, seemingly. Like I don't know him personally, but it seems to me like he's a very humble and just like wants to mind his own business kind of guy.
Yeah, and I think it was also he blew into the scene because he was huge and he was like lifting insane amounts of weight.
Oh yeah, he's huge.
Also,
I mean, he's a monster.
Because he started doing this like long form video where it's just like him speaking to the camera for like an hour every day. Like the car ride stuff, and then like the long gym sessions and like the long breakdowns. I feel like this is him, guys.
Yeah, that's him. Like, yeah,
that's a
well. That's the thing. Is like
it's like an older.
Yeah,
that might have been like a year ago.
He's a monster. Like, I mean, there is no way around it. He is a monster, and he definitely has a career in this. Like, obviously, the fact that he won like in his debut and won his pro card is like, you can look at his structure and you compare him to like some of the greats, right? He is comparable to Bumstead, I really believe. Like at that same age. You know, yes, Bumstead may have been a little bigger, a little wider, whatever, because he's taller, but Sulek is dense, right? His quads are fantastic. His definition is great. And he's dedicated and he wants it. Like, he has the drive to do it. And it's one of those things where, like, with bodybuilding, a lot of it comes out to rolling the dice, right? Getting lucky with good genetics or being a hyper responder to gear. And he has it. So if he wants it, like, it's his field to dominate. And I don't know if he would ever be like a Bumstead competitor or up there with him, right? I can't tell you that. I can't tell you if he'd be up with the greats, but like I think if he wants it and keeps at it, he definitely has a future in it. So
I kind of have a question for you, Max, because you've actively competed and stuff. So I know, like, you know, most of the time when we're looking at like these elite level competitors, like for example, this past year, Samson Dauda, 6'3", recently won the Mr. Olympia. Before that, it was Derek Lunsford, and the year before that was not Hani Rambod. Who did he coach? Hadi Chukman, sorry.
Oh, the Persian guy?
Yeah. So recently, the Arnold Classic happened with all the big guys, and Samson lost to Derek again. So my question to you is basically like, how at that elite level are they like discerning between the levels of detail between each competitor? Because when I see them get up on there and they do the same poses and they're doing these very similar routines, I'm not able to tell with my blind eye. But these judges, they're able to pick apart these physiques, and I'm not sure exactly how they're doing it.
Well, and that's a good question. Like, I'm glad you asked that, because it's one of those things at the pro level where it's very different than natural. And it's hard because, again, there is a level of subjectivity that goes into it where judges have their own bias, right? They have things that they want to look for, and they do their best to be impartial, I would, especially at that level. But for the most part, at the highest levels of it, I think a lot of it comes down to detail. And so when we say detail, we kind of mean how carved or how lean are you and how big is the musculature. So, for example, Beleh, could you pull a picture of Mr. Olympia really quick and we'll talk about it?
Yeah.
It comes down to definition, size, shape, structure, specific posing. And again, there's some guys I know in Santa Barbara. If you ever take a look at him, I want to say his name is Chris Barnett. He's a great posing coach. And a lot of these things come down to, like this is a good example. So when you look at this one, right, that's Bumstead. Everybody knows who he is. When we say looking for structure, right, we're looking for the general shape. So take a look at how he's posing, where let me make sure I get this right. The right chest is squeezed together. You can see the fibers running along. You can obviously see like the chest fibers, and it's round, it's pumped up, it's bulbous, like it has that chest look that they're looking for. You look at the shoulders, you see the striations, that little like stripes at the top, that tells you how lean he is. Obviously you see the vascularity too popping through his arms. You can see how like not to say puffy, but that's kind of what we're looking for, what they look like, right? Like he kind of looks like a piece of beef jerky, right?
Yeah.
And so you look for the striations. No, I mean he does. Like you have the striations, the actual muscular tissue. And so if you take a look around him, right? you see striations, you see fibers, you actually see the individual musculature, kind of like an anatomy picture, right? When you look at like the structure of a person, right? The little pictures where it's like the red meat and it shows the bones and all that.
Yeah.
That's really what we're looking for. And when we say structure, we're talking about like chest and shoulders in relation to the waist. And when you take a look at how he's posing in particular, right? Posing comes into this where you have to learn the angles to hit. And so with this one, he's meant to be showing off his calves, his quads, his glutes, but also the upper body. So notice how he's like twisting his lower body a little bit. So he has the back leg kind of tilted away, the front leg, his heel is up. He's flexing his calf, his quad, his hamstring, the adductors, the glutes, all of it's tensed up. But he's also twisting his waist away a little bit, bringing his right arm down and squeezing that tricep like that in order to maximally show how big his left arm, his shoulders, and then of course squeezing that chest on top of it so you can see his chest, his shoulders, his arms, his legs. And that's what we mean by structure, right? The whole overall of the physique, the posing, it comes down to a lot of that. So if you have bad posing, you're not going to show off your physique as well. And there's a lot of little things like that go into it. And we say like density, right? Like how thick is the muscle tissue? How dry is it? How whatever, right? And everybody has a different look. So Beleh, could you go to one where it's like all the different guys? Yeah, like that's a good one. So I'm pretty sure this one is when at the very end, they let the guys flex how they want. This is a better example. If you want to go back to that other one, actually, Beleh, that'd be better. So this is when they hit front double bi, right? And so when we say structure, right, take a look at the guy in the middle where his arms are like dense. They're huge. He has the forearms. They look huge. His chest and his back are wide. Like you see the gills and his back shoots out like that with his waist tiny and the abs are cut down. When we talk about something like that, like this is the reason why he's in center stage, because he's pretty clearly the best, right? He has the best V taper. His waist is the tiniest. His legs and his stance are just insanely wide. His quads look great. I would even argue that the guys to the left or the right of him have better quads, but that's just my opinion. But that structure, right? The way he's flaring his lats out to show his waist and bringing his arms up like that, that's the structure, right? If we were to take a marker and draw it, right, you would draw around his arms and then draw his lats curving down and then cut to the waist, which is like an insane V. And that's a lot of that goes into that. So structure, density, like leanness, and like, I can't prove this one for certain, so don't quote me on it, but I think a lot of it also comes down to the smile, because he makes it look easy, right? He's smiling, he's up there having a great time. That's another thing the judges want to see. They don't want to see you like sweating and like on the verge of tears. Like it fucking hurts. Like, don't get me wrong. When you're that dehydrated and you haven't eaten in 6 months and you're doing, 2 hours of cardio a day, that shit sucks. So you're going up there flexing, dehydrated, your muscles are cramping and everything hurts, but you have to hold it and you put a fucking smile on your face because you're like, I don't want to lose. So all that to say, that's kind of what goes into the judging. And a lot of it is like judges that are at this level, they can see the difference between like a guy who's 7% body fat and 9. They can see a guy who's bigger, who's got a better shape. And some of it just comes down to sheer genetics. Like take a look at the guy on the right. Look at his core versus the guy in the center.
Nick Walker. I think that's Nick Walker. Right?
I think so.
I have a question. Do y'all think he'd ever like win an Olympia? I think he has the grit and the resilience, don't get me wrong, but his frame is just not.
I just think he's got the genetic, like, I don't say genetic L, but like if you look at his core and his upper body, it's like, it's dense and it's blocky. And I don't know if the judges would characterize that as his fault because there's not much you can do about that. But if you look at, what was the guy in the middle's name? I don't even remember.
That guy has like a good 6-pack and Nick has like a 4-pack.
Derek Lunsford.
Nick Walker.
That was when Nick Walker was the best. I think that was
because look at his V taper.
Olympia.
Because I mean, his quads, he's veiny, he's thick.
Oh, this is like scary, bro. What the fuck?
But on the other picture, like here, he seems like good V taper. But on the other picture, I don't know if it was like breathing or something. Looked like he had kind of a little bit of Palumboism or whatever it's called, where you get that like bloated stomach look.
Insulin gut, GH as well. Insulin belly or GH or bubble gut. Yeah, whatever it is. I mean, he's huge. Don't get me wrong. Like he's big.
Yeah, that's what he looks like without the thing.
Yeah, he's bigger than we'll ever be. So like,
5'6". Yeah,
5'6".
He looks kind of short.
Yeah, he's short as hell.
Yeah, he's short.
But for a lot of this, like being short is just the best genetic you get. Like being taller just means you have a bigger frame. And so for certain things, like it's better, but it's kind of hard because like genetics are such a big factor in this. And that's kind of the thing I always explain to people, right? For someone who wants to get into this, whether it's natural or enhanced, your genetics are going to dictate pretty much how far you go. Like, you can be determined and do whatever, like, but if you're not a hyper responder, you're not going to make it to the Olympia, right? You're not going to make it in natural if you aren't committed for 5-6 years and have great genetics and really give it 110%, right? Like, it's just.
And we just saw that with the 3 different. I mean, I don't know much about this, but we just saw that with the 3 different guys.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. And like those guys are what we call genetic responders or hyper responders. So what I mean by that is like they will take 150 milligrams of test, right? And say all 4 of us take it. There's going to be a variation between Luis, between Beleh, between Alex, between me. Like maybe Luis takes it and in 8 weeks.
I have the lowest.
Well, no, but we're talking exogenous, right? Like we're talking injecting it. So if I injected all of us.
Really?
It might be. We don't know that.
Yeah, there's no way of actually knowing. I mean, yours is probably lower because you don't. Yeah, probably because you don't work out or diet. Yeah, I mean, but Luis is so lean, he probably also doesn't have it very high. Body fat also kills. Like you need to have a certain amount for good, but that's natural, right? The exogenous one, when you're injecting it, it very well could be like Luis could take it and all of a sudden he could blow up and add 25 pounds of lean muscle and be a monster, right? Beleh could take it and all of a sudden drop like 15 pounds of fat and then grow like 30 pounds of muscle, right? I could take it and not change at all. Like not possible, like not usually, but like that's what I'm saying is there's such a variation that you really don't know.
And this thing is illegal?
It's a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like everybody there is on it, but you can't I mean, it's hard because there's like, it's one of those weird things where like, yes, it's illegal to do steroids, but like, it's one of those laws where it's like, oh, it's like illegal to possess or something like get caught with. But like, all these guys have prescriptions, right? So they go to a clinic and they're like, I need this, this, this. And then obviously they have a team of doctors. And that being said, though, there are guys who don't do that. And then that's where you get like people who have heart problems and die, because if you want to do that, you are going to shave life or years off your life. Yeah. Like it's because your body is not made to be 300 pounds of lean muscle, right? If you're not taking care of your heart and getting your blood work done and not blasting gear, right? If you're making sure you slowly taper it and titrate it and not do anything crazy, then sure, you'll be okay. But you're still going to take years off your life. But comparatively, if you do it stupidly, like a lot of guys in the industry do, they just inject themselves with a fucking gram of test and then fucking eat cheeseburgers.
That's steroid?
Yeah. So testosterone. Yeah. Testosterone is an anabolic steroid, and it's the derivative of almost every steroid, right? Every one of them is a version of testosterone, just modified a little. But a lot of the guys will take something crazy, like for example, trenbolone, which is the thing they give to cattle to keep them beefy when they transport them. And that shit will fuck with your brain, right? Like you're not meant to be taking hormones we give to cattle. So all that to say, it's not safe. You can do it safely, but we're talking about harm reduction, not making it completely safe, because your body's not meant to be 300 pounds of lean.
Is this where horse tranquilizer comes into play?
Not quite.
No.
Okay.
No. So it's trenbolone. Like I can read you the actual hormone, but trenbolone acetate. Yes, and so it's a synthetic estranate steroid or a derivative of nandrolone or nortestosterone. But all that to say, it's an androgen anabolic steroid, and it's arguably one of the most dangerous. Like it's mainly made for veterinarians and for clinical stuff. And it's not safe. I mean, there's like a list of like what are the safest ones, and the answer is testosterone. Like flat is the safest, right? We have things called like TRT clinics. So in that same vein of like hormone replacement therapy, when everyone talks about fucking like transitioning and stuff, we forget that like guys over like 50 are taking testosterone because your sex hormones crash out like when you get old. Like that just happens. And it's good for men to do that, right? Like if you're at 50 and you have no test, your dick's not going to work. You're going to feel lethargic. You're going to have brain fog. You're not going to feel like a man anymore. And it's like,
is testosterone in Viagra?
No.
Okay, that's different. Okay.
Sorry for people do take but people do take Viagra because it's a blood flow. Yes, thank you. A blood flow, a vasodilatator. Thank you, Luis. I always forget what it is, but yes, you take it because it opens your blood vessels and allows you to get a better pump. I'm not really believe it.
Porn in the gym to make sure they get even thicker.
Yeah, that one was weird. I'll be honest. I understand the science of like, oh, you look at a pretty girl and you're stronger, but like porn in the gym, dude.
What?
Like, yeah. It's fun, dude.
People watch porn and it's
fucking weird, man.
That stimulated emotion will get you powers of like, alphaness. I don't know. It's weird.
It's fucking
gym
weird.
Culture is kind of cringy. I'm not gonna lie. I think that like sometimes when you're like I respect what you're saying, Max, because you did it for the love of the competition. You did it for the fact that you thoroughly enjoyed the sport, and then you also tried it out, and you were like, "This is what I got out of it, and this is the experience that I'm trying to tell people about it." Right? And we're like kind of talking about it here. But some people, when they're like wolf pack or like, oh, like we're wolves and shit, it's like, bro, like you're just gonna go lift the weight. Like I do it because I like it. It's fun.
Yeah.
I like the progress. Even though I see none sometimes, I'm like, you know what? Like progress is progress. But people who are like making it like this fighting demon shit, like, come on, y'all are like 18.
Corny. It's so corny. Well, and it's weird because it's like, I remember, I started this in 2019, right? I was really overweight pretty much my entire life, right? I guess just a little backstory.
He was fat.
I was, and I was,
fatter than me, dude. Like, you think I'm bad? He was fat. This little fifth grader kid, whenever
we don't say that, Beleh. We don't say that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, body shamer. No, it's okay. I mean, it's true. Like I always struggled with my weight, and this was long before TikTok was a thing and gym culture was a thing. Like I was always struggling with my weight. I never understood how to get it under control, and diet wasn't like you just go on TikTok and learn how to do it, right? This was when you actually had to Google things.
There are some benefits to TikTok, is what I'm hearing from
there are. Yeah, no, there is, but it's also like a monoculture thing, but that's besides the point. But anyways, in like 2018, I had to get my weight under control. Like my breaking point was when I would get winded going up the stairs to my bedroom. And I was just like, okay, I have to change something.
Oh my God. Okay. I haven't gone to that point, but
that's nearing Beleh level.
Beleh's almost there.
UCLA steps are fucking different than your steps to your bedroom. Max knows the UCLA steps. Even he got a little winded.
Well, and that's the thing is like it was just hard because like you kind of go your whole life being overweight, and it's hard because you see people that are naturally skinny or vice versa, and it's like you don't really understand how that works. And so in that like TikTok world, right, you have to decipher what works, what doesn't, how do you really lose weight, and you're like, oh, but green tea detox and like waist trainers and shit.
I fell into those too, dude, growing up.
They're all stupid. Like they're all just like lies, and that's honestly the hardest part, because once you realize like, oh, it's just having a decent diet consistently over time, making sure you exercise and move enough, and making sure it works for you, because that's kind of the component missing from TikTok and shit. The thing that I hate the most is people are like, oh, you have to be fighting demons and like crying in the gym because your girlfriend broke up with you or something like that. It's like, no, you don't. Like, if you want to be angry because you're having a bad day, like that's totally fine. And if you're in a bad place, I think going to the gym is a great thing, right? But that doesn't mean you have to be like, it's like, that's fucking stupid. You don't have to be flipping your hood up pretending like you're Batman.
Taylor Swift in the gym. I'm not gonna lie, it helped me. It was good. I liked it.
Sure. So like, do whatever you want. Like if you
that Ariana Grande thing.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So you come closer to the mic when you speak. So I'm trying to hear you. It's just kind of hard.
I was telling him like for the first 2 years, I was just listening to Ariana Grande. Like it wasn't.
Fuck it. Like, hey, if you like it, like listen. That's when I first got into music, because I was like, shit, I'm spending so much time in the gym. Like I gotta learn how to fucking like music. But
no, I think TikTok has been a game changer in the fitness community, because I remember like around that time, like 2019, even 2020 to some extent, where when I wasn't on TikTok, I feel like the depth and just breadth of information regarding fitness was like not close to what it is today. I feel like the kids now, they can grow much faster, much earlier, because the quality of information is just so much better. I remember you had like a few YouTubers at the time. You had like I would rip like Athlete X,
Athlete X,
and that was it. But now you have like all these like science-based guys. You have like TNF, you have like
Ryan Jewers.
I love Ryan Jewers.
I know I'm getting old because I don't even know half these names.
Coaching.
JPG,
when I first met your dad,
Santa Cruz.
When I first met your dad, he looked like Athlete X to me. I didn't know if you knew who he was.
Context: Luis's dad like bikes like 100 miles a day. Like it's insane.
Like I'm sorry, Luis, you're ripped, but you will never be your dad.
Your dad's legs, bro. They're like, I'm gonna send him this podcast, Mr. Toto's legs, insane.
Every time I see him biking, I'm just like, bro.
Has he biked the Cross Panama before?
Yeah, there's like a race called Ocean. It's not. I think it's like 80 kilometers or like 100 kilometers. He's done longer than that. But yeah, there's a race called Ocean to Ocean that like starts on one end and that ends in the city, which is pretty nice.
So cool.
How many miles is that? Hold up, just to give our viewers, our maker. I don't. That's
isn't it like
it's
30 or 50?
62 miles.
62 miles. Yeah, because it's like kilometers are like a little less than 0.2 of a mile.
1.609.
1.609. There we go.
Yeah. That's pretty.
I mean, bodybuilder, you're absolutely right, Luis. Like, I mean, like the breadth of knowledge is bigger, but I think more so it's accessible, and I think that was the bigger issue with prior to TikTok and all that kind of stuff, because it wasn't so much that the information didn't exist, and like to some extent it didn't. Exactly. It was about accessibility, right? You actually had to Google and then figure out and watch the video and read things, which is a lot harder. And the hard thing with this is like it's a behavioral change thing, and having done it myself and now having worked in personal training for almost 4 years and a whole breadth of things, you realize it's individualized, right? And so when people go like, oh, I'm just going to make a change, right? I'm going to just lose 60 pounds. It's like, that's a lot harder said than done. And like 90% of people will fail. And that's great if you're one of the 10% like you or me that just did it, right? Not everyone can do that. And it's really kind of difficult just because like, how do you prompt that growth? Like, you can't. And so it's one of those things, like, I guess what worked for me was like, I was 15. I was so overweight that like you know, when you're 6'3" and 260 something pounds, like just moving and not eating 10 grilled cheese a day will make you lose weight, right?
Yeah.
So it's like
tell me what you used to eat. Yeah.
yeah, I would.
Yeah,
well,
that's
and it hard's because it comes like a reinforcement loop, and it's just difficult because, you know, you go to school, right? Like, for example, like with me, you go to school and people already make fun of you for being fat. You're already, you know, you're overweight, but people make fun of you for it, and they call you like, they're like, hey, titties, come here, and you're like, what do you want me to do? Or like, they used to do this thing called scooping the patty, right? They would go underneath my chest and go like this and like flip the patty and burn, and it's like,
Bro,
I was
they
like,
would do that to you?
all the time. Yeah, I mean, I've
I'm
heard every
so
fat joke on the
sorry.
planet. No,
Bro,
it's
those
like I've
your
heard every,
friends are like,
oh
fucked
yeah,
up
friends, yeah, no,
Oh,
like.
okay.
Like friends would do it, and they would do it in front of girls that I had crushes on. Like, it was one of those things. That's what people do.
That's a
Yeah,
lot.
it's high school, man. It's awful.
I'm gonna
Like-
put a photo of Max from his recent competition right here, so you guys could
And
see.
they'll be
Actually,
like,
I'm gonna
"Oh,
pull
dude,
it
you're
up.
like way too skinny, bro. You need to add some mass." And I'll be like, "Listen, man. Like, I'm 19. What do you want me to do?" But all that to say, like, it's a reinforcement loop, right? So people make fun of you for eating too much, and like, you can't eat a salad, right, when you're that fat, because then people are like, "Oh, you're trying to lose weight, fatty." And it's like, well, what the fuck do you want from me? You know? Because like, I would, yeah, no, it's like I would try to like diet. I would do stupid things. I'd be like, I'm going to eat like leafy greens for lunch and shit. And it's like, and people would make fun of me for it. And I'm like, well, fuck do you want me to do? But so anyways, all that to say, over the summer, I had finally just broken, right? I was like, fuck it. I have to change something. And I'm going to be so honest. It was like the catalyst was a girl. And I was like, again, 15, I had the summer. And I told one of my friends who was like, Mr. like, oh, I love lifting and I'm always in shape, because he was, you know, already into that shit. And I was like, okay. And he's like, yeah, he didn't believe me. But anyways, so it started with walking a lot more, because it's summer, right? You're 15. Oh yeah.
This is a
There's my
photo of Max from a recent competition. If you guys want
Thanks.
to see.
That's almost 2 years ago now, but you guys can tell me I look way too skinny. I know. My coach underwatered me, and we didn't have enough carbs and a whole slew of other things, but that was my first men's physique natural show. So, but anyways, all that to say, it was just one of those things where I just tried everything, right? I would try to walk outside as much as I could. I would take the dog outside. I would walk to and from like the gym, and I would go, and like, I didn't know how to lift, so I would just do random shit. Like, I would do push-ups and fucking sit-ups and whatever. And so I changed the vegetables. Like, I would just randomly eat like chicken thighs and vegetables, and I wouldn't eat anything different, right? Or I would just drink a protein shake and have a fruit. And it's like, you don't actually know how calories how it works at that point, but it worked. And so after like 3 or 4 months, I had gone from like 260-ish to like 230-ish, and then down to 205 by the time school had started. And at that point, it was
no more big titties.
no, well, kind of, but people were like starting to notice, and it was one of those things where once you get the ball rolling, I think it's a lot easier to keep it going, right? So one of the things in my training that I teach my clients, right, I always try to start with a small victory, because I want you to feel like, hey, like, you know what, I can do this, right? Because once you break that negative habit, I think it's a really good enforcement loop. Like, you know, maybe it's starting with a good lift, or even if, and I'm going to be so honest, a lot of the times I just lie, and I'm like, holy shit, like, wow, you've learned that so, like, you're the only client that's learned it that quickly. Like, it's whatever, but it makes them feel good, and then they're more likely to come back. And that's important, right?
If
People
you're
need to
Max's
feel good.
clients, do not watch this podcast.
God, I hope not, but no, and it's that's what it's like. And so as I got better at it, I kept learning, and I just kept trying different things. And this was when Athlean-X, and if this guy still exists on YouTube, Gravity Transformations is out there. His name's also Max. And if he's still there, I just want to give him the biggest shout out, because he is the reason I have a career and paid my way through college with personal training, because I wouldn't have been able to do it without his videos. But all that to say, it's good content, and it was something that actually taught me quite a bit, and it became like him. And so it started with him, and it got to the point where like I started learning more and more, and then reading, and it's like reasons you should lift heavy, and what you should eat, and like what I had to do creatine, and like I don't think a lot of it's great information. Like, I haven't read any of it or watched any of it in years, but the fact of the matter is, like, it is a start. And so once I had done that, I had started lifting weights, and I didn't do it consistently enough, because I was like, I didn't know, and I didn't realize like cardio wasn't gonna make me look the way I wanted. So I lost a lot of fat, but I still wasn't looking the way I wanted. So after I'd lost like 40-50 pounds, I was like, okay, something's not right. So I started trying the weights, and I just kept Googling things, and every time I was like, okay, what should I do to lift? So I was doing like bicep curls and like chest press and like lat pull downs and fucking like leg press. Well, I was like, okay, maybe I should learn some other stuff, right? And local like gym members helped me, and people around, and of course the internet is huge. But that was like prime 2019 Gymshark, right? That was back when like you had David Lade, you had Lex Little, like you had James English, like that was Chef Kiss. It was prime. Like things did not get better than that. Yeah. But after watching a lot of those videos, you know, I had learned, and about 3 to 4 months later, right around Christmas 2019, it's like I'd finally gotten my weight under control. I was 185 pounds at 6'4", and like it got to the point where every time I'd go to school, I would wear like a baggy sweatshirt or a hoodie because I wanted people to know, but I didn't. And it was a weird like back and forth where like I would wear this. I had this pink hoodie, which now it's like skin tight, and I actually had to throw it out because it's too small, which is kind of cool. But back then nobody could tell because I always wore the hoodie and I'd have it up and didn't really talk to anybody. Didn't have like, I wasn't popular, obviously. I was a fucking loser. But then like a couple months go by, people were like, wait a minute, like you have a jawline now. And I was like, I know. Where's my like double chin? And like they'd like notice, they're like, oh, what are you drinking? It's like a protein shake, and like I'd eat like cold vegetables for lunch. But it
You
got to
didn't
the
have
point
the
people
school
noticed.
lunches?
I didn't. I did qualify, but I didn't want to because I was like, I'm just going to drink a protein shake and eat my
Bro, I
vegetables.
love those shits so much.
Yeah, I mean, they're good. I wasn't going to fuck with the diet, you know, because the
Yeah.
diet's the most important part, and that's what I had learned. And so it's like, once I had gotten it under control, like I joined the swim team and I was lifting weights, and I started boxing, and I kept doing these things, and I kept finding new ways to make it work, and that's really what started it, right? So at that point, the ball was rolling, and then it got to the point where it's like, okay, then I overdid it, and then I was like 172 pounds, and then I was super skinny because I'm again tall, and I was like, okay, I have to actually lift weights, and COVID, yada yada. But that's what started it. You know, it was just one of those things where I finally figured it out and made it work. And I think my favorite thing about all of it was like nobody knew, right? Nobody in my town went to the gym. Like it was our local gym. I did it, didn't post anything. Like nobody knew about it. And so that's one of the things I love about it, because I realized how much better it would have been had someone been cheering me on. And that's really what I think a lot of people should be doing, right? When your friend wants to get in shape, your friend's like, you shouldn't make fun of them or talk down to them. You know, you want to help them. Like you should do that, because if you are in shape and you are one of those people, you owe it to those people to help them, to be a kind person. And like that's my big gripe also with university gyms, is that nothing bothers me more when someone who's in great shape, someone's a big guy, I've been doing this for a while, is an asshole to someone just starting. And it happens all the time here at UCSB. And there's nothing more I love than, and I call it humbling them, and I don't actually do that, but like in the few times where someone was rude to like my roommates, right, who had just started lifting weights, they're, you know, soaking wet, like 140 pounds. Some douchebag in like a fucking Gymshark stringer is rude to them. They're like, oh, you know, you can't have the bench. It's like they're only putting on 185 pounds
That
on bench.
happens there?
All the time. Yeah, because dudes are
That's
fucking
actually
assholes.
insane. I feel like the
I've
gym
never
culture
seen
is a
that
lot.
happen
Like
out here.
It's weird.
I-
Like, you guys don't.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
we-
UCLA,
like-
like doesn't happen.
and I would say the gym culture here is really big. Like the gyms are always fucking packed, and
Wait,
the people
I
here
know,
at
too.
least are like super nice. Like they always let you work. Even like the really fit people always let you work
It is
in.
interesting.
I
Yeah.
think it depends.
It's
I
weird
really
because I feel
depends on.
like we've had a different problem with that. And like I didn't go with my friends much to the gym just because it was just I had my own regiment and they had their own. But whenever someone was rude to them, like nothing makes me angrier than when people do that, right? Like there is no reason for you to be rude to someone who's waiting on you, or be an asshole, or make them wait longer than you have to. Like get your workout, get the fuck out of their way, and be kind to them about it. Like, so one of those things is like if someone was being rude to them, like they're like, oh, like, what are you guys waiting on? Like, oh, we need a bench. And it's like, oh, this guy's hogging. He's on a 6th thing. It's like either if I had my staff thing, I'd be like, nah, like come on, man, you got to share. Or if I was working out with them, like the few times I did, it's like, okay, well, if he's doing 185, all right, well, I'll hop in line. I'll be like, oh, how much you got? And he's like, I'm like, oh, I'm done. I'll be like, oh, no, throw on a 45. I got to warm up. And it's like, I'm going to smoke him and make him look like an asshole, because if you're going to talk down to people like that, you deserve to be put in your place, because you're a douchebag and you have no right to talk down to someone like that. And it was one of those things where I love like putting people like that in their place, because you have absolutely no right to be rude to people like that, right? There is no reason for you to be an asshole to guys like my buddy Teo, right? He's a nice guy. He just asked politely how many sets you have left, and you told him to fuck off. So at that point, someone deserves to humble you because you're being a douchebag.
Bro, what the
What?
fuck is happening?
Dude,
I think-
like, yeah.
I think either
I would throw hands. I would be like, first I'd be like, what the hell? Like that is not even
it's
close.
crazy.
No, it's insane. And it's like, it doesn't happen often, but the few times it does, it's one of those things where I'm like, you're a douchebag. And truly someone deserves to come and put you in your place, because when you treat other people like that, it's like, you deserve to be treated that same way. And it's one of those things where
Yeah, definitely.
I don't understand why you would be rude to someone like that. Like one of my things is whenever I see someone waiting on a bench, and like, again, I've been doing this for a long time. Like I'm up there in the like mid to high 250s. Like if I see someone waiting, I'm just going to finish my set really quick. I'll like signal to them, be like, hey, I got one more, and like, it's yours. And like, I'm not going to make them wait. Like I'm not going to be sitting there on fucking TikTok scrolling around. Like, especially if you're benching like a plate and some other person's waiting, offer to let them in. If you're on TikTok, offer to share. Like everyone's got time. Everyone's got places to be. Like, or nobody's got time actually. But the point being is like, I hate the culture. And that's one of the reasons why I gave up bodybuilding. Cause like when I went to my show, one of my big things that I had problems with competitors, right, was that it was their whole life. And like, if you spend every single day focused on how big are my muscles and what am I going to eat today, that just kind of sounds like a really boring life. And like, not to be sure, like, I want extra stimulation, but like, there was no stimulation to it. It's like, there's only so many like days of cardio you can do, only so many reps of bench you can do. And like, don't you want to be able to read or talk about things or like have any other hobbies? Like, you know what I mean?
No, this is all they do.
Yeah, it is. And it's like,
fine,
if you want
that's
that, that's
your
fine.
thing. Like, but like, just don't be a dick to other people.
Well,
Or
exactly.
just like getting started and getting into it.
That's disgusting behavior. Like, I wish there was like a revolt against that, because people that do that are just the worst. And it's like, I hate that. It's truly my biggest gripe. And anytime I see it, it's like, dude, my blood goes red. I don't know why. Like, why would you do that? Like, I don't get it. What's the point of being rude to somebody? Like, if you're standing in someone's way, like, be polite, let them in. If someone wants the bench, like, offer to let them work in. Like, and if they compliment you, be nice. Don't be like a douchebag. Be like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, don't be an asshole. Like, I hate gym culture for that. And like, I'm glad to hear UCLA is better than that, because it happens here, not a lot, but when it does, nothing makes me angry.
It's like so different, because my biggest complaint at most is like the most rude thing, the rudest thing that I've ever seen, which is like nothing compared to you, is me asking like, how many more sets do you have? And then they're like, I got like 3 or something. And then I'm like, oh, can I work in? And then they're like, no. And I'm like,
wait, wasn't it a girl who did that to you? Or
yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's happened once, but I'm like so surprised, and that's like nothing compared to yours. So like,
well,
I guess,
and that's similar. It's that same vein of like, what makes your reps or sets so special that I can't work in? Like, I also have a place to be, and like, I would get it. You know, if it's like you have to adjust the whole rack or something,
it could be like anxiety to like.
Sure, but like,
I feel like,
why?
To kind of step in, I feel like it's a two-way street. I feel like at UCLA, right, we're a big ass school, right? But we're small in acreage, right? We barely can fit whatever.
The smallest you've seen in terms of age.
I don't know if you saw BFit. BFit is literally like a closet, and then like, what's it called? Wooden isn't much better, right?
Yeah.
Like, the issue is you will walk in during prime time hours, and you have like 8 people waiting for benches, right?
Well, before it was worse, because there's like 4 benches at Wooden for like 40,000 people, and then before there was like 4 squat racks, and now there's like 8 or something.
Yeah.
Like sophomore year, it was like absurd. I was like, what the hell is like this place? Like,
I think the worst thing that's happened to me at Wooden was, it wasn't necessarily something like that. Like, I was in the front of the line and I saw these 2 dudes. They're both powerlifters, right? They have like the little piece of like fabric, you know, that you put on like tables or in closets to kind of create that friction between their back.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they don't use chalk because it's like makes a mess. And at Wooden, they're super weird about it.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then they had all their equipment, right? And it was literally 2. They're both friends, right? Because I see them like spotting each other, and one guy's doing a plate and the other guy's doing a plate, and I'm just like looking, and I'm like, you guys clearly fucking know each other. Just finish the workout and go. And we literally waited for the 3rd guy, who then left. We finished our set, and they're still not done. And it's
Jesus
like,
Christ.
it's like super frustrating, because like, I feel like personally, I've seen like gym etiquette where people think they're super entitled, but also like, you know, we were talking about the whole social media thing. I think social media has made it more prominent. Like, I don't
100%,
know, like, I don't know if you watch Joey Swole. I'm like, I kind of like him. Like, it's not like, I'm not like crazy over him, but like sometimes like people, like, they'll put their like tripods around. They're like, oh, I own this place. Like, no, you don't. And you look the same as everybody else. You know, you're doing the same shit. But, and then it's like, it also goes back to like when we were talking about Sam Solik. Sam Solik was popular. People kept copying him, and they're thinking they're Sam Solik, but they're not, you know? And I took this class over the summer, or last summer. It's called Engineering 183, and it was like called Technology and Society. And we were talking about social media. One of the things that I looked at was specifically the idea of the carnivore diet, and how individuals like, if you know him, I think his name is Dr. Paul Saladino. It was Carnivore MD.
Paul Saladino.
Yeah,
the man.
Bro kept claiming this carnivore diet about like, it was like 100 grams of red meat per pound of body weight. I don't remember. It was weird. It was, and then like when you looked at like basic studies that related cardiovascular health to red meat consumption, it literally said the range of which you need to consume. Of course, there's nuances to that, you know, like the populations and stuff. But it was like his limit was like triple that of like the cardiovascular increase of like 20%. Like, and it's like you're telling people to eat more red meat. You're telling people to just go full, like, you know, put full protein, no carbs, no nothing. And it's like,
it's bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gym culture's just gotten to a point where it's really interesting, and like the misinformation and the
100%.
entitlement. It's both.
I wouldn't even call it misinformation. I would call it disinformation, because I feel like it's a lot of these people, they know better. Like they fully do. And it's a thing of like saying the truth is really unpopular, right? I want to tie this into like economics, right? Like it's really boring when you're like, oh, actually we need to raise taxes and have stable like deficit spending, right? We need to bring it down. And it's like, that's boring, right? Nobody gives a shit about that. Everybody wants to go, no taxes. And it's like, well, that's boring. Like that's fun, right? Or sorry, my thing's boring. Your thing is fun. And same thing with gym culture. Like if you're like, hey, here's my physique. I'm huge. I only eat red meat all day. And I put the little fucking steak on a wooden cutting board and I put honey on it with blueberries. It's like, fucking dude, sure. Like that looks cool for like one time, but you're not like, it's fucking, it's weird. And it's like, it's a disinformation loop where people are like, and most of my job, truly, a lot of the times when I get new clients, it's just a disinformation like session where I try to explain, no, what you saw on TikTok is not entirely true. We have studies, like you don't need to be doing like 10 different glute exercises because you saw a girl with a big butt and then therefore you want to follow that. I'm like, you don't have to do that, right? And it's just, it's embarrassing because it's one of those things where you can't, and there is good information out there, but you have to like double check it and you have to fact check things and you actually have to think about it and you have to learn. It's like, most people don't do that. And gym culture in particular becomes a lot of like this weird narcissism feedback loop. It's like a narcissism disinformation feedback loop with a mix of like, I always call it like a monoculture, where like everyone's like gym demons, like wolf pack, like emo, what fucking whatever. Or maybe that's like outdated, but like, what the fuck? Like, why are we co-opting these things? And like sometimes I feel like it's just incoherent because you see the people that do it and you're like, why the fuck do you have a backpack that says like trust your instincts or like trust no one or fucking whatever? It's like, dude, you're just a guy going to work out. You're 20 something, like you're 28, like fucking relax. Like it doesn't have to be that deep. And like, I think the thing that I hate the most too about it was the emo shit of like all the brands co-opting, like for some reason it was like Spider-Man, but like only black suit Spider-Man or like Batman and shit. And I'm like, why are people coming in with like a Batman t-shirt acting like they're like, I'm broke, I'm going to go work out. It's like, did you not read the source material? Do you not know what the point of these things are? Like the Spider-Man one kills me because I'm like, you do understand the whole black suit thing is like, he's being an asshole. That's a part of the story, right? It's corrupting his personality. And in the black suit, he's an asshole. Did you not watch Spider-Man 3? Did you not read the fucking story? Like
Max is a big fan.
Dude, you see the comic books on my wall. Like I hate that. Like especially the co-opting of like superheroes and shit into that for like gym culture. It's like why do you need fucking Batman on your t-shirt and telling you how broken you are? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Grow the fuck up. Like
the young LA heroes and supervillains merch.
Jesus Christ. Dude, it's so fucking corny. And like, and it's bad because like I feel like a lot of kids fall for it, and like I did too because I was a kid. And you'd think like, oh, this guy's shredded and is good looking. I want to be like him. But they don't set a good role model. Like that's what I think Sam was great about, right? Sam Sulek was a great role model. Like he went to school. He was a nice guy. He didn't cause problems. He was just a dude who wanted to live his life normally. Like that's fucking awesome. But a lot of these like Yumla douchebags like to like show off their hot cars and their fast things, and like then they end up dying or doing stupid shit and making people like even dumber. It's like
Alex will send when like one of them tragically passes away, and I'm like, holy fuck, dude.
Or I like when you were talking about like the cars thing, the first person that popped into my head was Alex Eubank.
Oh my god, he's just like always him flexing on a car. I'm like,
I have nothing personally against the guy, but his content is legitimately like garbage. Because like I don't know if you've seen some of his like his recent stuff, but like every time.
Oh my god, this is Alex Eubank. I follow him on TikTok, bro.
Of course you do.
Like,
Alex Eubank.
No,
of course you do.
Wait, you guys, wait, you guys mean Andrew Eubanks, bro, right? Andrew Eubanks.
Wait, this is him? I follow
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, I feel like he's been not natty for a lot longer than he's claimed.
Yeah, I feel like he's lying. I mean, because like his thing is like, okay, 4 years, and like, one, he lies about how long he's been doing this. Two, I'm assuming he's lying about his like actual natty status, which is fucking fine. Like I don't care.
This is him in 2022.
Yeah, and it's also again like the thing is it's really easy to hide like your 4 years. Like you're telling me that was your baseline.
Okay, natty means natural. Just
yes, no performance drugs.
You're good.
Yeah, but here's the thing: like if you look at his 2018 picture, that's already a guy who works out. Like if you go to the other one, comparison, that's already a guy who lives. Like that's
right.
Yeah, that's a guy who goes to the gym, diets well, like good structure. Like the fact that you're telling me that's your baseline. I got a piece of fucking land in Ohio, or beachfront property in Ohio to sell you. If you think that's fucking a starting physique. And if it is, like, I'll gladly bite the bullet and be like, no, I'm wrong. But like, that's not a guy who just never hit the gym before. Like, I'm sorry. That's a guy.
I mean, most of these guys have like, I mean, the like top of the top influencers, like their starting point isn't that shitty because I mean, great genetics. So like they have
Yeah,
a
of course.
baseline that's like
Beforehand.
above 95% of the population. So
Well, of course. Well, that too. And like they lie about it because, of course, they're going to shave off. They'll be
Yeah.
like, oh, this is my 5th year of it. It's like, no, it's probably year 6 or 7, if not
Yeah.
more. And
Yeah.
you probably took X enhancement or you're just lying, which is fine. Like but I think the thing I hate most is like the lying, because if you're not natural, don't tell people you are, because you have a bunch of little kids that are going to believe it, right? Like, look at this. Like, aesthetics is 16. He showed his 18 one, and he's obviously
Yeah.
leaner and drier than that. It's like, why are you lying? And like, I understand social media incentivizes you to lie. I get that. But why are you being a
We
douchebag?
just learned about this in Luis's class, like how you want to like drive up engagements and how that leads us to like there's like
Yeah.
a study. It's a political, but there's like a study how like if you call out your opposition on Twitter, you're 64% more likely to have it retweeted versus like
Yeah.
talking about your own group or
Yeah.
something like that.
Oh, of course. No, because you're incentivized to cause chaos, like not cause chaos.
Yeah.
It's like cause debate, insult people, like cause social like disruption.
Mhm.
You're not
Greg
incentivized to
Doucette.
tell the truth and be. I'm sorry.
I said Greg Doucette.
Jesus. Look, I
Bro,
like Greg.
these-
I like a lot of
all
things too.
these people. Can we get one of them on the podcast?
We
I
probably
think we
could,
could
but like,
legitimately get Greg though. I think he
Yeah.
would like love
Yeah.
for some shit like this.
well, he would, and I think Greg is, he's a great content. Like, I don't,
great content.
you know, I just, again, but it's not his fault, and it's not any one person's fault. It's the way it's structured, right? It's meant to incentivize you to say outlandish things and create conflict. Like, it's not incentivized for you to really Sam Solik. Like, the fact that he blew up, I think, is a great thing, but I wish more of that happened, because like he didn't blow up or he did blow up organically, but it took him hundreds of views and videos for people to be like, holy shit, look how big he is. It wasn't like, hey, this is a really nice guy who talks to the camera and has decent content and doesn't say outlandish and rude things. Like, it's all bad. I don't know. It's whatever.
Max, I have a question.
Absolutely. Hit me
Kind
with
of
it.
talking about the idea of like going back into the conversation of working out. What would you recommend for people who are like busy / sick to kind of incorporate, like getting your 45 minutes of working out plus, your 30 minutes
cardio,
of
shit
cardio.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a good question. So one of the things is obviously you need a level of subjectivity to your individual situation, right? Like the question is like, are you like disabled? Like, do you have trouble getting into the gym? Like, what's the issue here? And so I would implore you to think about that of like, what is causing you not be able to get to the gym? And like, we would take a look at your time habits and like, what is the issue, right? Do you work 9 hours a day? And so if the answer is like that, like, then I would say the answer is 1, let's try to find a way where we can get more activity in your day, right? Maybe you don't have time at the gym, right? Maybe it really isn't possible. So the answer is like, let's try to get more activity, more steps, more whatever, more movement. And then of course, like when you get home, obviously if you're busy, like then I get that, right? That happens. But I would implore you to try weekends. So what I would say, if like we're talking bare minimum, 2 full body workouts on the weekends. And like, I understand like rest times are not perfect on that, but a full body workout, and if that's really the only time you have, I would say the weekend is the best opportunity. 2 full body workouts back to back. I really don't love, but truly it's better than nothing. I would also say like the bare minimum would be 3 full body days of workout a week. And if you can make time for that 45-minute workout, full body, 1 muscle group, 2 to 3 sets at every muscle group to failure, it's going to be enough. So the question is like, could you get in like a Monday evening, a Wednesday evening, and then like a Saturday? That's my busy person schedule. If you really wanted to do it bare minimum while still making improvements and progress. But I really think a lot of it is just start where you can. Something will always be better than nothing. And so if you're really a busy person, like you're a student or whatever, like when you can work out, go for it, right? When you feel like you have time, go for it, right? If you do have the time, make time. And it's easier said than done. Like, I get it. I did the internship in DC where it's like I was working almost 40 hours a day or like 40 hours a week. And it's like we were just busy from fucking 6:30 when I'd wake up, shower, get ready for work till fucking 6, 7 o'clock when we get home. And it's like, if you can squeeze in a 45-minute lift, great. If you can't, you know what? 3 full body days a week is plenty. If you can do more, even better, So that would be my answer to the busy person schedule. 2 to 3 times a week, full body. If you can, great. If not, like, you know what? We'll find a way to make it work. And anything is always better than nothing. Like if it's just taking your dog for a long walk at the end of the night, if it's taking the stairs at work, like that's good too. Anything is always better than nothing. And I think if you can find a way to make fitness or just even general activity a part of your lifestyle, it doesn't even have to be lifting weights, right? If you like climbing, if you like hiking, that's good. Like that's great. Would I implore you to lift weights for, functional fitness and keeping your muscles active and, longevity? Like, yes, but it's not a mandatory thing, right? So truly it's about you. that was my big slogan with my personal training, is like, we put the personal in personal training, we find a way to make it work for you. If you can come in 4 days a week, great. Like, I love that. We'll do upper, lower with a rest and a rest in between. If you can come in 3 days a week, we'll do full body 3 times a week. If you can go in 6, even fucking better. But like, it's about finding how you can get it done and keeping it sustainable, because, you know, randomly waking up one day and deciding, hey, I'm going to go to the gym 6 days a week and do cardio every single day for the next rest of my life. That's just not going to happen, you know?
I think everything you guys have said has been pretty helpful. I'm obviously not a bodybuilder, so I don't know a lot of this information, but something I've been hearing a lot about, especially in the political world, especially now with RFK being the Health and Human Health Secretary, is this whole conversation about seed oils. I don't know what to believe. I've tried to do my own research, and it's just like, it's really difficult to find out the truth about seed oils. I've spoken to Luis and Alex about it, and they both told me a couple things about it. I kind of wanted to ask you guys, are seed oils good for you? Are they bad for you? Or is there an answer in between? Luis, I wanted to kind of ask you first.
Okay.
Well, I think the conventional wisdom, when you ask a nutritionist, they're going to tell you that in comparison to saturated source of fat, like butter, like animal fat, it is healthier given that it's unsaturated. Max, do you disagree with that? Or
Yeah, I was like, there's probably just a better way to phrase it rather than like the type of fat. I would argue it's just more what the seed oil is, right? Like, seed oils come from seeds, right? Like, that's part of the thing. And they're plant-based cooking oils. So like, the whole point of them is made for cooking, for fried foods, for processed and ultra processed foods, things that are like put through the processor over and over and over. And I think more so the fear of them is like, they come from sources that we're not supposed to be eating in this quantity. And like, you think like grapeseed, corn oil, canola oil, sunflower oil, safflower, rice, like peanut, whatever. They're mostly used for like fried foods and ultra processed foods.
Yep.
So the thing is like, should we avoid them like they're the fucking plague? Like, okay, no, because we live in the 21st century. Like, you can't do that. Like, I'm sorry, unless you want to live off of like a $2,000 a month food allowance, like, you can't do that. But like, we can make better changes. Like, the thing is with oils, right? You know, coconut oil or olive oil, and like real olive oil, not like stuff you find at the store. Like, you have to make sure you're getting the right olive oil. Like, it's going to be better for you. But it's one of those things where I think a lot of it comes down to just like silly little sciences where we're showing like extra little thing of like, look at this research, right? Look what it said. And it's like, yeah, I don't disagree that seed oils are bad because they're ultra processed, but it's like, I think the correction would be selection bias, right? Of being like, oh, they're really bad for you. It's like, well, yeah, because you're eating fucking deep fried like Twinkies and you're like, oh, but the seed oils, I can't have those. It's like, yeah, you shouldn't be having seed oils, period. Like, they're not made for humans to have that much sunflower oil. But the better question is, what are you eating that has that much seed oil in it? Like, you know, it's in most items. I don't disagree with that. And like, if you can, I would implore you to opt for like extra virgin olive oil or like avocado oil or like fucking coconut oil. Like, it's fine. And like you said, the monosaturated fats that are higher, that's great. They're not seed based, but like, you can't just cut them out entirely and be like, dude, no, I can't. I'm like, it's one of those things where like in the hierarchy of needs, right? In the pyramid, everything under here, which is like getting enough sunlight, drinking enough like water, having veggies, having protein, getting good sleep and lifting weights or exercising, is 90% of the battle. And then once we're arguing about fucking seed oils, it's like, dude, put down the fucking like TikTok or like that spiritual like fucking magic thing. Like, just stick with the basics. Don't overcomplicate it. Like, if you can, like, avoid it, because you're avoiding fucking fried chicken or like French fries or shit like that. It's like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't be having a lot of those. If you're having enough seed oils to the point where seed oils are the problem, maybe we should take a look at your diet before we start dissecting it. Like, I can only have this thing. Like, you know, if you're eating like mostly clean food, like fucking turkey breast and chicken and whatever, and you're cooking it with like avocado oil or almond oil or not almond oil, fucking olive oil, like that's fine. Like, and you know what? If you're going to have a little bit of seed oil, go for it. Like, look, I'm not going to pretend like I'm a scientist and I can tell you like, it's destroying your hormones or whatever. Like, but I would implore you to try getting enough rest, lifting your weights, eating enough vegetables. And like, if it's frozen veggies, fine, because they're expensive. Like, try to eat lean meats like turkey or chicken or fish or whatever.
Are frozen vegetables, like, is there any difference between frozen vegetables and just like...
I think there is a small difference, and not in nutrition, but I believe in taste, because when you freeze them...
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
But, so in terms of... Because I like to get frozen vegetables just because like...
Because it's cheaper. and easier to
Yeah,
store.
yeah.
But I've heard that like they maintain their nutritional value, perhaps like to the same degree or a little better, given that they're frozen and they're not
Yeah.
like out. Yeah.
And I was like gonna say it's almost exactly the same, if not 1-to-1. And it's one of those things where like, look, listen, your fresh vegetables could lose your nutrients during transportation, during whatever, during all these different things. And it's like, because your fresh veggies are like, they pick them fresh, they toss them in a flash freezer or fucking whatever it is that you do now, and they're good. Like you keep them that way. And yeah, they might be like not as tasty and not as fresh or whatever, but like they're expensive, right? Not everybody has the money to buy fresh veggies every 2 days. Like, and maybe you want a veggie that's out of season. Like it's fine. So it's just one of those things where I think like a lot of this comes down to people that are overcomplicating it, right? And it's not their fault, but it's like, you don't have to fucking argue over, does this have seed oils in it? I can't eat this. Like, okay, if you're really worried about seed oils crashing your testosterone, then we should make sure you're hitting all the other fucking things first, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, again, there's so much like, I don't say horse shit, but like shit that doesn't matter. And like, if we want to force companies to not use seed oils, fucking fine. But that means we're going to have to cut corn subsidies to Iowa farmers, and you're going to have to radically rechange the entire food system, which, let's be clear here, there's a lot of problems there. But the solutions you're proposing are not solutions, right? Like in principle, I understand what RFK is getting at, but like these things are difficult. Like if it was just easy as like we snap our fingers and people use like organic sugar and organic butter and shit, like that's a lot harder. Like if it was that easy, somebody would have done it by now. And that's the thing that I hate is like seed oils, fucking like leave them alone. Sorry, go ahead.
No, well, what I was saying is like, yeah, of course, I like basically never use them. I cook most of my things in like avocado oil, and like olive oil I use for like certain applications because it has a really low smoking point, so like it'll burn. However, like sometimes for like high heat cooking, I might use like grapeseed oil or like just like a generic vegetable oil. So what I was getting at is that, of course, I think what you brought up, perhaps the issue is with the processed foods and the quantity of the oil. But I think what I've read and heard from standard nutrition experts is that perhaps the use of seed oils when compared to an animal fat could be a preferable substitution in certain applications, given that like the lesser consumption of saturated fat will translate to less serum levels of LDL cholesterol, which is highly correlated with atherosclerosis and other heart conditions. So that's what I understand. But like again, I agree with you saying like, it's the quantity and the processed foods. And
it's like we shouldn't be jumping through hoops and making people's lives impossible to do it. Like, yes, like if you need to use it, like it's going to happen, right? You're not going to avoid it 100%, right? It's a part of being a modern human. So like minimize it if you can, right? Like if you can use butter, great. Use avocado. I'm a big proponent of extra virgin olive oil. If you can get authentic olive oil, it's really not super expensive. If you want to use it, it's wonderful. Like if you want to cook using an air fryer, like fucking go for it. Like it's like using an oven.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's easy to clean, it's quick. Like, but if you want to pan fry something like olive oil or avocado oil or coconut oil or fucking like, you know what? Sometimes you're at the store and you just need something that you can spray your pan with and you don't want it to stick because sometimes it doesn't stick correctly. Just grab the fucking canola oil. Don't use it all the time. Don't eat a bunch of fried food. If you need to use a little bit of canola oil, I am going to
I have vegetable oil I use sometimes for baking.
But it calls for it. But like, if you're really being like, Mr. I'm going to avoid all of it, fucking try pumpkin. Like you can use pumpkin to replace oil. You can use Greek yogurt. You can use a lot of substitutes. That's what I do. Like I love brownies. I'm a sucker for chocolate. I would kill a man for like a golden brown, like a perfect brownie, right? But I can't eat them all the time because I don't want to be fucking fat again. So it's like, okay, well, let's try swapping them for pumpkin, right? I like pumpkin. Do you like chewy brownies? I like chewy brownies. You can swap them for things like that. Like that's the thing with diet that people don't understand is like we can make swaps. It's not going to be easy because it's a change to how we're used to doing things, but it's not fucking impossible, right? That's the part like cooking is chemistry, right? You can swap different things and how they react. It's going to be a little different, but like if you like pumpkin and you like brownies, I love both of those things. They come out spectacular. Like it seems like a win-win. Pumpkin is a vegetable and lower in calories. Like it,
Yeah,
I think I was gonna say that I think perhaps the bigger source of the issue is the use of these oils in highly processed foods that are high in calorie, high in fat, high in sugar, and then all of these leading to negative health outcomes. But
Well,
I
and
think
the quantity people eat too.
yeah,
Because like how
I
much
think
are you eating of these things?
I think that
as
the shift.
overconsume.
Yeah.
As Americans, do Americans just overconsume in terms of
Yeah, eating.
calories
It's like it's not a secret. Like I think the average American or like median American eats like 3,800 calories a day. Like you can look at the calories over time that we consume, and it's a good thing because it shows industrial like progress where we have enough food to eat. It's the same thing with the global hunger, right? Like ending hunger is not the issue, right? It's getting the food where we need to, but like now you can process foods and leave them shelf stable for months and months and months, which is great. People have enough food to eat. Now the issue is we have too much food to eat and we're not eating the things we're supposed to or should. And it's a complicated issue. But again, like if you're eating a shitload of fucking frosted flakes and French fries and shit for every meal, you're probably having too much seed oils. The issue is not the seed oils. The issue is what you're putting in your mouth the first time. Because again, if you're eating like chicken for breakfast, like I know eggs are like $10 million. Thank you, Donald Trump.
Costco.
Yeah, I mean it's better than
farm.
other
Yeah,
places.
Costco 24 pasture raised eggs. It was like $8.
Not bad.
Yeah, no, and it's great. I mean, like, but if you can afford eggs still, like without having to mortgage your house, like, fucking, that's the point. Like, if you can do that, great. Like, eggs, I think are a great source to start your morning with. You want oatmeal and protein. Like, I think most of this comes down to like, can you have a balanced diet, right? 80-20 rule. Like, would I love it if we all ate 100% clean all the time? Fucking sure. But you know what? Who doesn't fucking love chips? Like, who doesn't love ice cream? Like, if you have a girlfriend and she's like, I want a sweet treat.
Does not eat chips. I don't think I've ever seen this guy eat chips.
And Luis, you don't have a girlfriend, right?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's exactly why. Like, when you have a girlfriend, that changes. You know. No, and I'm so for real. Like, I couldn't date when I was doing bodybuilding. Actually, fun fact, this because like, what do you do when you're like, oh, you want to grab coffee? It's like you have to get a black coffee. You can't get sugar syrup, and especially like when I was on prep, it's like you can't even do the sugar-free syrup. You're like, no, you get black coffee and that's it.
Actually, when I did used to have one, I was low key sometimes a freak because she would often like want to go get dessert, and I would just be like, nah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get that.
You know how many
It's impossible.
times he's done that, Max? It's so annoying. It's like, but now that he's super skinny, he has the pregnancy cravings.
Now that, so when I was bulking, like I feel like for like 2-3 years, maybe I never like voluntarily bought like a dessert that was not like at a birthday party and they were like, you have to eat this right now.
Right.
But then when I lost 50 pounds in my cut, I got these like pregnancy cravings. Like,
he fucks up my peach cobbler with ice cream, bro. He
like
fucks that shit up.
and I still have them. So like I just had like a protein bar Bear Bell because like
we know we are
cravings
because they're like candy. Because like
they are. That's the thing. It's like when you get that lean, like you get cravings, and like I guess that's the point. It's like your body is like, holy shit, dude, I don't have enough fat to satiate me. You get cravings, and like that's honestly the hardest part of prep is for 4.5 months waking up and doing 80 minutes of Stairmaster and getting that lean and not having any treats. Because if you're just cutting, it's like you can have a little like treat here and there, a little like break, and then go back to it. But like you said, you got the pregnancy cravings. When you're just 9% body fat, which I'm assuming you're at, you're probably like, holy shit, dude, I smell brownies. That sounds wonderful, you know? And it's hard because like, again, your diet that long, you get restrictive, you want those things, and that's fine. Like, I'm not saying you can't have those, but for that level of intensity, like if you really want to be a competitive bodybuilder and that kind of things, you can't really do that. And you can do it in your off season. You know, everybody does things differently. Like some people do that all the time. Some people have a lot of snacks, but it means more cardio. If you want to diet longer or shorter, like you can do these things, but it makes it a lot harder because, you know, fucking an hour of cardio burns, I don't know, 400, 500 calories. You can eat a 1 crumble cookie in 30 seconds and undo, you know, an hour and a half of Stairmaster. Yeah. So it's just complicated. And so, again, this,
real quick, just want to go at Max, Luis, Alex, really quick. Max, so seed oils, good, bad, or complicated?
Complicated and bad. I'll put them in both categories because they're not a good thing, but they are just a part of life where it's like, you know what, they exist. It's like, it's again, I'm going to use this line that I use for a lot of things. Rather than arguing about whether they're good or bad, should we remove all of them? They're going to be here, and it's going to be a lot harder to just remove them. We're like this, right? Instead of arguing about should they not exist, we just have to accept that they do, right? It's that line from a really shitty movie, right? We've been arguing so much of what he can do, we don't talk about what he should do. So rather than arguing this hypothetical, like, oh, let's get rid of all the seed oils and coconut oil and vegetables. Okay, fuck off. Like, that's not going to happen. Do you think the fucking Iowa farmers who do all the corn oil and soybean oil are going to get rid of that? Like, no. So the answer is just do your best. We'll try to pivot the industry slowly. Like, Would I love if we could snap our fingers and get rid of them? Sure, fucking that'd be awesome. But it's not going to happen. So the answer is do your best. Fucking eat your servings of veggies as best you can. Try to eat fruit, eat fucking lean meats, exercise. And if you have a fucking thing that has some seed oils in it, you know what? It's not going to kill you.
Right. Luis?
I think it's complicated. I don't really know. I mean, because I've heard sites say that they might have like carcinogenic qualities. Like I heard about this study about like, or I don't even know if it was a study. It was like a podcast because I was also like going into this rabbit hole of like, well, they were citing a study in the an alleged study in the podcast. Because I was going into this rabbit hole of like, bro, are they like bad or not? And they were like talking about like how they surveyed these like cooks who throughout their lives cooked with seed oils in the kitchen, never smoked, and a lot of them got lung cancer, and they were like trying to create the association that the inhalation of the seed oil fumes was causing the lung cancer. So like stuff like that makes me question it. And then you hear the talking points about like inflammatory qualities and like whatever.
We know that one. Well, and I guess the thing with the study is like, not to be Mr. Omniscient in science, but we need to also understand there are other correlated factors. Like you said, they were chefs, right? Maybe it's the pans, right? You heat a hot pan, whether it's like BPA or whatever fucking chemicals they put in the pan that you're then inhaling.
Yeah, correct.
You're inhaling a lot of things, and like there's a lot of factors that we can't account for. Like you said, they don't smoke, right?
Yeah, that's what they were saying.
Like was there something in their environment? Like if they're all in the same kitchen, could it be some other corollary?
Yeah,
like,
I don't know how the study was
well, exactly.
Like when you sear meat, that shit can smoke too. You know,
exactly.
Right. When I inhale that, like, you know, I start coughing, and it's a lot.
Absolutely.
Like,
well, and that's the thing is like, are they completely accurate? Like maybe, and are seed oils bad for you? Yeah, fucking probably. Are they inflammatory? Yes, and we know that. But like, again, who cares? We live in a world where they're everywhere, and if you try to avoid them, you're going to be going fucking insane. So I'd rather you just do your best to avoid them, and if it happens, it happens. Minimize it, right? Minimize the damage. Like it's like talking to a guy who smokes cigarettes, right? I don't love that. I can't force you to stop, but you know what? Try to keep it to a minimum, right? It's the best possible course of action instead of just saying no seed oils ever. Like I wish we could do that, but that's not going to happen. So in the real world, do your best, minimize the shit that has them. If you can get something like cooked with oil and you're not going to be a pain in the ass to everybody around you, fucking do it, man.
Yeah. Well then,
yeah.
So I would say like the hierarchy might go like, you know, high quality unsaturated fats like olive oil and like an avocado oil.
Mm-hmm.
And then where I you know, everything you've said raises questions about the health aspects of seed oils, but then like what are we replacing that with? Are we gonna increase our consumption of saturated fat? And if so, will that lead to earlier onset death due to increased serum levels of LDL? But then there are studies, or not I don't even studies, but like I hear people that are like in the Maha movement and all this citing that like the initial correlation between LDL cholesterol and heart disease was through studies co-opted by the sugar industry to divert fat consumption to sugar consumption by making the
actually, I think they're right about that. Actually, I was gonna say I think they're correct. Yeah, because I was gonna say actually it was one of those things where like you look at trends in dieting, and I think they're actually correct about that one because there was the whole thing of like milk, right? Where they're like, oh, everyone has to drink milk, and you're like, why? Because the U.S. government bought milk, and like again, a lot of these things were correct. Like the whole like, oh, no fats, right? You remember how like every food package in the 90s was like, oh, it's low fat. It's like
yeah.
But they're loading it up with sugar to replace it, and like now we know sugar is really bad, right?
Yeah.
And now people are like, oh, but artificial sugars. It's like, dude, fucking, what do you want? Like, do you want organic sugars? Do you want fake sugars? Do you want the shit you like? Again, there is no perfect answer, and I'm going to go back to it in the hierarchy of needs, right? If you're cutting out all the fat in your diet, like that's bad, right? If you're cutting out all the sugars, like that's probably bad because you're not going to do that forever. And the same thing, like I'm pretty sure that is correct. Like the food industry really did push the like low fat stuff because of no sugar. Yeah. So again, hierarchy of needs, 90% of this is just try to eat more veggies, try to eat more clean meat, try to eat like fucking probiotic thing, like yogurt and sauerkraut and fucking protein shakes and exercise and sleep well. Like it's like, that's 90% of the battle. The fucking if your health is in good shape, right? You exercise, you're a healthy body weight. I don't think your LDL is going to be a big deal if you're a healthy body weight, right? I think the corollary is more if you're already overweight and you're like 300 pounds. The bigger question is you're already clogging your arteries because of what you're eating, not because of all the seed oils, right? If we dropped you to a healthy BMI, anywhere between 18 to like 25, and you started doing cardio and exercising and eating mostly clean food, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that would abate most of the issues.
Okay, yeah. But what I was getting at is like that they're also questioning the relationship of like high LDL and heart disease. And I just don't.
I would assume it's correlated, no? Because it's like if it's blocking your, like blood vessels and corollaries, like wouldn't that kind of?
Yeah, but like they're putting that into question, and that's why they say like no, like you should actually consume more tallow, more butter, and cook with that because like the LDL is not going to lead to anything.
Well, yeah, and it's like there's the different types of cholesterol.
Yeah, but I feel like in the medical community and the nutritional community, like this is one of the primary, like most widely cited associations, and they're bringing doubt to that, and like there's no like unified source of information or like because like I don't know, the information commons is broken down with like social media. Everyone has, and there's like benefits to that, but then you have like all these different pieces of information and you don't really know who to trust. But that's an entirely other issue. But in short, I would say like it's complicated.
Next episode is institutional trust and public health breakdown.
We actually just covered that in our class too. That's actually insane. We talked about like
there's a book. There's
Max,
a book coming out about that.
You would love the class we're taking right now.
I would.
Yeah.
But
okay.
Yeah.
And then Alex also said complicated.
That's all the time that we have for today, folks. To let everyone go today. OKC, UFC, KFC, Lakers in 5. Have a good day, everybody.
You heard the man.
Celtics in 6.
Celtics in 8.
Celtics,
it's not happening.
The Lakers. Luka, LeBron forever, for life.
Banner 19 coming. Tatum's gonna whoop Luka's ass again. Even like saying that they make it. I don't know. We might lose to the Cavs. I don't know.
Well, I think you guys heard a lot of valuable information today. Thank you, Max, for being our bodybuilder expert. Luis and Alex, thank you for joining us co-host. I will link all their social medias down in the comments. Go check out Max's photos on his Instagram and glaze him. Tell him that Beleh sent you there. But thank you, everyone. We have some really exciting episodes coming up soon. Max and I are actually about to hop off this and film an episode, I think, with the biggest guests we've ever had. So we're both really excited for that. Thank you for all the support, and like, comment, let us know if you guys want us to talk about anything else. And if you like these health types videos, we will do more of them. Give us some topics and we'll engage with you guys. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.